So this is one of the worst things you can do if you're someone who struggles with anxiety. Don't do this if you have anxiety. It only makes things worse. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Quenby Gallahan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the state of California. I've been a therapist for well over a decade. And this channel, The Grateful Therapist, is all about mental health, counseling tips, and personal growth. So if you like learning about those things, be sure you have hit the subscribe button and turn on that little bell, which will notify you when a new video comes out. Today I am talking about anxiety and treatment and management of anxiety. Today I want to talk about this concept of avoidance, which is something we talk about a lot when we're trying to help people with their anxiety. So those of us who struggle with anxiety tend to avoid the things that make us feel anxious. So if I were someone who was anxious about driving on the highway, I would choose to avoid the highway. I might say, you know what? I can take another route to work. Maybe I'll take the back route. It's a little more scenic. It takes a lot longer to get there, but then I won't have to feel anxiety. And so it sort of makes sense to choose to avoid things. I can totally understand why a person would choose to avoid things, because when you avoid, let's say, the highway in that example, you get this flood of relief. Your body sort of rewards you and says, oh, phew, I'm not going to have to feel this anxiety. I feel so much better. This must be the right thing to do. When in fact we know that avoiding the things that make you feel your fear, that make you feel those uncomfortable feelings of anxiety, only makes things worse. One of the things I am able to help my clients with that come to me with a referral of anxiety, no matter what type of anxiety it is, one of the things I can do as a mental health professional is offer a lot of education about how anxiety works, how it works in the brain, what it feels like in the body. And one of the keys to overcoming your fears or your anxiety is understanding and education of how it works. If you've ever struggled with anxiety, then you understand what anxiety feels like in the body. I'm someone who struggled with anxiety in my life, so I understand it both clinically, professionally, and personally. Most of us who experience anxiety, let's say if we're afraid of a social situation and we're a teenager and it comes to break time and most of our friends gather out front. And on one hand, we want to go hang out with our friends, but on another hand, it makes us really anxious. The thought of, what will I say when I'm hanging out there in that group of friends? How will I stand? What if I say something stupid? And these thoughts can cause anxiety. And what anxiety feels like for most of us is sweaty, clammy hands or an energy running down the arms into the hands, things that make you almost want to clench into fists. A lot of people get a quick heart rate, or they'll almost feel like they can't get a full breath and there's something pressing, sitting, or weighing on their chest. Many people have a very hard time getting a full breath. The thoughts start racing really, really quickly. Anxiety is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable body sensations. And understanding that is really key to treating anxiety and overcoming fears, because many of us who've had anxiety, it feels like we are having a heart attack. I have actually had clients of mine who've gone to the emergency room and they were referred to me after their physician ruled out there's nothing physical here, you're not having a heart attack, you're having anxiety or an anxiety attack or panic attack. Anxiety can feel extremely physical, and for most of us, it's pretty uncomfortable. Because it's uncomfortable, we want to avoid anything that brings on those sensations of anxiety. For many of us, the feelings of anxiety are so uncomfortable that we don't want to have them. We'll do anything to avoid them. So if you're a teenager and you have social anxiety, you might choose to go to the bathroom and hide out for the 15-minute break rather than go out front on break and hang out with your friends, because you don't want to feel that uncomfortable feeling and those difficult thoughts. If you're afraid of dogs, maybe you're afraid you're going to get bit, you might walk an entirely different route all around the neighborhood in order to avoid that one house that has a dog out front. And your brain kind of rewards you when you choose to avoid, because you get this flood of relief, like, whoo, I don't have to feel those feelings of anxiety. It's such a relief, so that you think, oh, this is the right thing to do. When in fact, avoiding is only making anxiety worse. The thing that we know about anxiety is avoiding makes it actually worse, because anxiety has a tendency to pop up in many different areas. So you might avoid the anxiety of driving on the highway by avoiding the highway, but oftentimes the anxiety is not dealt with, so it just pops up in some other way. Then maybe you will avoid going over windy roads. Then maybe you'll avoid going over roads with bridges. Before long, just simply driving is something that causes anxiety. So what do you do if you're somebody who has anxiety and has used this technique of avoiding rather than facing your fears? One of the first steps to dealing with your anxiety is what we call willingness. Being willing to take a look at your anxiety, to understand what thoughts cause it, what people, what situation, what places cause your anxiety. And what is anxiety like for you? How does it feel in your body? What does it sound like in your mind and your thoughts? What are your triggers for anxiety? This is often really helpful to meet with a therapist, a counselor, someone who works in the mental health profession that can kind of guide you and coach you through this. Friends, if you are enjoying this video or learning anything, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can find this kind of helpful mental health content on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. I've created a couple of worksheets that can help you work with clients. I guess you could do them yourself. If you're not a mental health professional and you're just someone who wants to work on their anxiety, they might be helpful. If you are a mental health professional, the worksheets might be helpful for you in working with clients. So I'll talk a little bit about those worksheets now, and just know that they are available in my Etsy shop at The Grateful Therapist. There is a link in the description section of this video, or you could create your own kind of similar forms. The worksheet is called What is My Anxiety and Avoidance Costing Me? And it is several questions. The first one is, what have I stopped doing because of my anxiety? What events, people, places, things are you avoiding because they make you feel too uncomfortable? What are you currently not doing? What types of situations, people, places create the most anxiety? And then the big question is, what will I miss out on if I continue to avoid my fears and let fears and anxiety call the shots in my own life? And what are you losing in those situations? For a lot of people, what you're losing is freedom and choices. For a lot of people, you're missing out on social events, socializing with friends, or other healthy activities. When we look at what we're missing out on because of our avoidance and our anxiety, what comes up is usually a person's values. You know, they feel like they're missing out on freedom, or they're missing out on connection, or they're missing out on opportunities. Things that really mean something to them. And often what we need to do is find that the meaning, the freedom, the values, the connections matter more, just a little bit more even, than the fear. We want to help people to see that it is worth it. It's worth the effort. It is worth the little bit of discomfort you feel when you're anxious in order to have the life that you want to live. In other words, we don't want to let fear and anxiety rob us of the things in life that we value, that are important to us. We don't want to let anxiety call the shots in our life. And working through these worksheets with people, what usually comes to light is that we don't want to miss out on our lives by letting fear call the shots. And so it's usually worth it to us to experience those feelings of anxiety, those uncomfortable body sensations, in order to live the life that we want. We don't want to give up on the things that we value and let fear make the decisions in our life. So the second worksheet that I have is, what is my plan to overcome my fear? This is really great to work on with a therapist or mentor or counselor or someone else who can help guide you and come up with a plan. So it might be, for example, that you sit in your car and you just imagine driving on the highway and you feel that rush of anxiety move through your body, and you sit with that anxiety and you sit with it and you stay in the car and you breathe and you talk yourself through. And then what happens is you and your brain learn you can sit through the uncomfortable sensations of anxiety. If you sit through the fear and get to the other side, you'll realize that the sensations pass on their own. Anxiety is not dangerous. It's not even harmful. I can feel the sensations of anxiety and stay with them and breathe until they pass. And then that lessens anxiety over time. You can actually change the way your brain functions, the activity in the brain, and the actual structure of your brain. This is called neuroplasticity. A lot of anxiety management or counseling from anxiety is teaching you to tolerate the distress of anxiety, to sit with the discomfort and the uncomfortable feelings, and know that you can have fear present, you can have some anxiety, but still live the life that you want. I hope this video has been helpful in any way, help you understand a little bit more about anxiety and this concept of avoidance. I hope that if you struggle with anxiety, you are inspired to maybe find a mental health professional to help you through that. Please be sure to give the video a thumbs up on the way out. Make sure you're subscribed, friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.